We now have the ability to virtually rid families of the devastating effects of many genetically transmitted diseases. Through pre-implantation genetic diagnosing, or PGD, in conjunction with in vitro fertilization, IVF, we are able to screen embryos and transfer and fertilize the ones that are free from the genetic mutations that cause an increased risk for specific conditions. Just last year, a 27-year-old woman with a family history of a rare, late-onset neurodegenerative disease called Gertzmann-Straussler-Scheinker syndrome, or GSS, which manifests in a manner similar to Alzheimer's, decided to use PGD to have a family. She had watched her father, grandfather, and uncle die from GSS, and after going through genetic testing, she discovered that she also was a carrier for the same disease. Instead of giving up on her dream of having children, she chose to use in vitro fertilization and PGD therapy to fertilize and transfer embryos free from this same genetic mutation. She has now given birth to 3 healthy children, free from the disease-causing mutation. For the first time in 5 generations, her family has a potential of ridding themselves of GSS once and for all. PGD, or pre-implantation genetic diagnosing, appears to be safe and effective. However, it is expensive. One round of therapy can easily cost over $16,000, and many women need to have more than one round of therapy in order to successfully conceive a child. So what does this mean? We have to consider the possible social ramifications if this technology is only available to those who can afford it. More wealthy families would be able to prevent certain diseases, while the poorest cannot. And the poor would then continue to have a higher occurrence of illness, which would cause greater financial burden, greater emotional burden than the wealthiest feel. This would only perpetuate their poverty. So what can we do about it? Well, right now in the U.S., we currently have 2 options if we want to use PGD therapy. We can pay for the procedures out of pocket, or we can try and strike a deal with our insurance companies. But I argue that neither is good enough. I propose instead that we create a special national fund that covers the cost of PGD therapy. Naysayers may complain that adding another expense to an already overwhelmed system is ridiculous. However, in this case, the finances work out. If you consider the cost of treating a neurodegenerative disease over the course of the illness, it is much greater than the cost of IVF or PGD therapy. For example, let's consider the cost of caring for a patient with Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's is a well-documented, well-researched, late-onset neurodegenerative disease similar to GSS that Amanda's family carried. According to the Alzheimer's Association, Medicare pays $46,669 per person with the illness, compared to $14,772 per person without the illness. IVF technology is an effective and useful tool. However, if only a portion of the population has access to it, we will end up creating greater inequalities. We must explore funding options that will permit every family access to these technologies, allowing them equal opportunity in planning their own families free from the burden of familial genetic diseases.